Sure you don't want to drink water this time?
What's good, everybody? That is an insanely long intro track. I'm Kenneth Berry. This is another episode of Touchdowns and Tangents.
And I'm Pete D. Camarillo, the other half of Touchdowns and Tangents. I'm here live in studio this week. We got a special edition, tangent-heavy edition to open up the show. Something we've been trying to do over the past few weeks. As you know, wrestling is honestly been a constant just tangent and underlining theme that we kind of talk around, just in its correlation to football. And so for a long time, I've known these two guys specifically, and I've been wanting to find a way to get them involved with the show. And now, just with everything that's going on, we thought it'd be a good time to just, take a break, vent, talk, have a good time. And so with that, I'm happy we're going to have our first wrestling Roundtable, community conversation, I guess you could call it. Community conversation adjacent.
No, I'm just going to call this a wrestling roundtable.
All right. With that, without further ado, this first man, he's in the Hall of Fame of roommates. He's an alumni of WWE PR team. He's done PR for wrestling. He's an all-around wrestling historian, connoisseur, whatever you want to call it. He's in tune with it. He's my boy, Rayvon. For Good News listeners, you might know him from the Ladies' Night. So, Rayvon, why don't you go ahead and let people know what you sound like?
Mr. Ladies' Night.
What's up, guys? What's going on?
And then the other half, he's actually calling in live from Arizona, his old stomping grounds. He's a well-respected podcaster, broadcaster, writer, journalist, all the above. Someone I met a few years ago, just instantly vibe with. He's also a extraordinary big brother and man. Cedric Welton. He's part of the Believe podcast and a number of other things. Cedric, why don't you go ahead and talk to the people? Let them know what you sound like.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. Well respected. I appreciate that, man. I'm doing everything I can to be well unrespected in these streets for wrestling, man.
Well, man, I just have to give you your due. Anyone who hustles like us, it's well respected in my book.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, so Kenny, I'll leave it to you to open it up, man. Since you're the wrestling expert here between us.
Thank you. There's a lot. I mean, you could start from just when Vince decided that he was gonna. I don't know how that he flipped that in Florida to make wrestling an essential job, but based off just what you've seen from what both of y'all have seen from the past few Raws and even SmackDowns in these empty arenas, what's your take on all that?
Whoever wants to go first.
I can go first. It took an adjustment period. I say the adjustment period was maybe like 2-3 weeks to adjust to no fans, and we already know why WWE was deemed non-essential. It's because Vince, Linda, and everybody in the hierarchy is in 45's pockets. So that's why we've been able to keep wrestling afloat. But I'm not complaining. If anything, it helped us see that when WWE's back's against the wall, they can still produce quality content. We have a number of superstars that are quarantined. A lot of people stuck overseas or in their native countries. At the same time, we've been able to still keep a decent product afloat. WrestleMania wasn't the best it's been because it had no fans, but it produced possibly one of the best matches of the year in the Firefly Funhouse. So you kind of got to roll with the punches there.
Mr.
No, I agree. It's definitely weird watching it without fans. It's hard adjusting to that. Because you're used to like the crowd and the reaction, so you're like watching and then you just hear the commentator. So that was a big adjustment. I first watched something without the fans was WrestleMania. That's the first time I'd watch anything without the fans, and I thought it was weird. I couldn't really get into it, but I mean now it's like the norm. So now it's like it's fine. There's no like difference for me right now.
And you pointed out the Firefly Funhouse. A lot of people, and a lot of wrestling purists, you can even say guys like mainly Jim Cornette, absolutely hated that. Like Jim Cornette hated that with a passion.
Jim Cornette hates everything. So
He really does.
Yeah, he does.
It's
he
impressive.
Really does.
I respect the consistency in the hate.
Yeah, serious.
But you
I mean,
look at
you could ask Jim Cornette what he wants and deliver exactly what he wants. He'll still hate it.
he'll complain about how you delivered it to him, and then it'll make him think
exactly.
about something that Vince Russo did to him. So when you look at that, you look at how AEW is done, and even Impact Wrestling. I know Tessa Blanchard and Impact are having issues right now because she's stuck in Mexico and not sending in promos and all that. But how do you feel storylines have suffered or not suffered since this quarantine? You can start with WWE and then go to AEW. Actually, AEW is a whole other monster, but just with WWE, how do you feel like the storylines have either sank or swim?
Well, you can take a bunch of storylines and see exactly where they made a left where they should have went right. Like take the Cruiserweight title, for instance, and we have a new interim champion because Jordan Devlin is overseas. You can look at the tag team title picture on NXT with Matt Riddle being called up to SmackDown now, where I think indirectly 6 other tag teams were affected by that because Pete Dunne was stuck in the UK. So they've been scrambling, man. And if you look at the main roster, you can argue that just because there's no fans, certain title pushes haven't happened yet. You say Becky Lynch is about to be with Child. Maybe Shayna Baszler is supposed to beat her at Mania, but since there's no fans, it would have been kind of flat. I look at things like that all the time. Even with Charlotte going over Rhea Ripley, there's a number of storylines that definitely zigged when they should have zagged because we don't have any fans. And you can kind of see it. It's not a bad thing. It just means that they're going to have longer storytelling, hopefully.
I think the storylines have been pretty decent. I think without the fans and them forcing them to produce quality product for people to actually tune in, I think they've done a better job at maintaining those storylines and being entertaining and, shifting stories if they needed to and stuff like that. So I think it's been a very good test for them to see how they can do under pressure. I mean, most of it's pretty good. I mean, obviously WWE, so nothing's ever perfect, but I think the storylines have been pretty well, especially with the promos and tape vignettes and stuff like that. I think that helps a lot since they can do that. It helps them out and makes things so entertaining.
Cool. I'm just gonna be the heel since you guys are pretty much agreeing. I'm just gonna be the heel the rest of the interview. So I love what they're trying to do with Seth Rollins and the whole Monday Night Messiah thing. At times it's kind of been trash. WrestleMania, I really disagree with Charlotte going over because
I agree with that.
It didn't what was it? It wasn't going to make her bigger. If anything, she should be without a title, and just her presence is a threat to everyone in the division. Instead, you put another belt on her. It's like the whole Ric Flair thing. You're just going to give her 18 different titles. It's ridiculous. And
well, that's the plan.
I think at this point we can't really dodge the Charlotte smoke, whether she has a title or not. Like Charlotte's going to be a fixture on all 3 brands, title or not. She's been on SmackDown. She's been on Raw. She continues to beat Asuka for no reason. Even with the NXT title, my thought was that she was going to be on NXT every single Wednesday, have matches for the next several months with all the young talent there, and then she's still on Raw, and then she's feuding with Bayley and Sasha. So it's like I just think that's WWE creative, knowing that Charlotte is a workhorse and wanting to utilize her. But I mean, since you said you wanted to be a heel, I mean,
they're pretty much treating her like John Cena.
Out the park. Let's be clear. Huh?
I said they're pretty much turning her into the.
What about John Cena?
They're turning her into the female John Cena, and it's kind of gross. And Nia Jax stays injuring people, so it's kind of like.
I love Nia, but I feel so bad that she's injuring people.
She keeps
I want her to succeed and do well so bad. And every time I read something like she injured someone, I'm like, Naya, just get it together, girl.
It's almost like she can't really come out and talk trash about Ronda Rousey because she's actually a trained wrestler. Ronda really isn't, but I'm pretty sure she's injured way more females than Ronda has in a wrestling ring.
Absolutely.
Probably. That's probably correct.
That's probably the reason why I think this would have been a perfect time to do the women's pay-per-view because they would have avoided all types of scrutiny because you're going to judge them when, like, there's so much female talent. Like, I think that would have been something that they could have done at WrestleMania, but it's like they just abandoned that idea, and it was a really great idea. What do you guys think?
I think the biggest problem with WWE with the women's division is that they have so much talent they're not using right now.
Yeah.
So many. So we're being force-fed Charlotte over and over and over.
That's them. That's WWE on the regular. They force-feed you the talent over and over, and you're like, but what about this person who I haven't seen in 3 months? Like, I'm tired of looking at the same people.
Exactly.
I think that's what happens with the women's division. They go, well, especially like, okay, well, Becky's out, so, well, here's Charlotte for you, everybody, on every show, doing everything.
When
you don't have Becky, and instead of pushing someone else up to, kind of be that replacement for Becky or give them that light, they just like, we're going to get Urban Charlotte on all 3 shows, have her have 75 matches a week, and everyone's going to love it, so that's fine.
Until she gets hurt, and then they'll be like, oh my God, we're screwed. I'm just saying, Bianca Belair was called up for a reason, and the fact that her and Sasha Banks haven't feuded yet is kind of just a waste.
You know where Bianca Belair is? She's on Wednesday main event feuding with Ruby Riott. That's what she's been doing. That was her big call up to Raw, which is crazy, and I haven't seen Shayna Baszler in full.
You haven't seen her since Money in the Bank, right?
I think he froze.
He might have disconnected. Did he? Cedric?
No.
Wow.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, as long as you turn to Cedric Alexander, disappear on us.
Give me Skype PTSD again.
Wow.
Nah, I couldn't hear you guys for a second.
The screen went dark, and we were like, oh. But yes, I mean, I feel like so much talent is falling through the cracks, and I think them putting the titles back on Sasha and Bayley was a horrible idea for the sheer fact that if you wanted to put some more heat between them in this, like, obviously it's a quiet, competitive rivalry. Bayley thinks she's the best women's champion of all time. And Sasha, being the natural heel she is like, I want to turn on you, but it's just never the right time. And then Bayley's haircut, they turned her into a Karen, which I just don't understand why they turned her into a Karen when she's actually Latina, which, like, I don't know what the situation was. Like, I feel like they could have went a totally different way with that look. But they're forcing her to be like some annoying heel when she could just be herself, kind of amplified and just cocky and dismissive. That would create more tension instead of making Bayley be over the top and like silencing Sasha. It's weird. And those belts could have went to anybody in NXT.
Well, I think that's the cool thing. I think this might be one of Bayley's more successful runs. When the turn first happened, everybody thought it was garbage, but she's been one of the longest reigning women